I went ahead and started the recording because we had a couple people ask, and I saw it was 10 o'clock. Sheena's going to kick us off today, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Yeah, great. So I just want to start the meeting off with recognition. Y'all are doing a great job here. Thank you so much. My PSM team, Jen and Debbie, you guys are doing great. Tyler, thank you also so much for your support. Let's turn it over to our PSM team. Any recognition that you guys would like to share?
Yeah, so any recognition for your peers that you've seen other PSMs doing well with anything?
I just want to give a shout out to Debbie because she is absolutely amazing, and I'm so lucky to be working with her. So thank you, Debbie.
I wanted to give a thank you to Lynn, who gave me some suggestions on a way to get some Indeed leads. So I just want to say thank you to to Lynn for helping.
And I want to say thank you to everyone on the chat that keeps answering my questions so quickly and makes me realize I'm not as crazy as I think if I can't find something.
I want to give a shout out to Gabby because I'm just getting back and she is my rock.
And I want to shout out to Maria because even though she's not able to drive, she's getting to the offices and getting stuff done.
Fantastic. We even have some recognition going on in the chat. Sherry Hall says Mary Montgomery is doing an amazing job. Anybody else? Before we turn it back over to Tyler, we'll start the slideshow presentation for today. We'll kick off every meeting with some recognition. I think it's important.
Yep, and I just wanted to recognize this whole team for just leaning in and being part of it, right? It's easy to sit back and turn your camera off and not be part of it, but this team already like super responsive in the chats, all over the teams when we're having these meetings and sharing best practices. So thank you. You know, we are really getting out of this what we put into it. So I really appreciate everyone's commitment and engagement. It's been fantastic. So thank you. All right, with that being said, for the interest of time, we will go ahead and jump in. Once again, this will be a couple things to think about. We'll share a couple best practices, but if you guys have any thoughts, any questions, anything that you want to jump in with, feel free to come off mute and say it. So wanted to start with the big deadline we have in 3 days. So the end of this month, the goal is to have 100% of your prior year tax pros applied. So I wanted to recognize some good performance here. So Tanya, Dana, Anna, Lynn, and DJ have all already had more people apply than your entire prior year tax pro goal. So great job there. Just make sure you retain. If you have a yellow number in that gap there, what that means is that's how many people you need to hire by the end of this month. So really take a look there, and I'm going to send this deck out and I'll share it. But really take a look at how many people you have to hire left to get to your prior year tax pro goal. And even if this, just to be clear, right, the deadline is the end of this month, but even if you go past the end of this month, we still don't want to leave those people out there hanging. We want to make sure that we hire them all through. It's one of the most important targets we have. I also want to call to your attention that far right column. That is the amount of people you have in roster. So if your number is bigger than 0, there's still some work to do here between now and the end of the month. That's how many tax pros we haven't spoken to yet or haven't changed their status to if they're coming back or not. So the ideal goal here is by the end of the month to have 0 there in roster. So we know and have spoken to each of our tax pros and know what we're doing with them. Just to be clear, if you mark them as not interested and they want to come back later on, you can just send them the external site, they can apply and they'll go through. Last call out here, just as a watch out, Virginia and Diane, just so you know, right now your gap is bigger than those that you have in roster. So I wanted to call attention to that. So the way to fix that is you have to get some of those people that you marked as candidate or company not interested and call them and have them apply. Otherwise, you don't have enough pipeline to hit ready to serve already from prior year tax pro goal. So just kind of a watch out. Some of you are really close. So if you need, for example, Dawn in Virginia Beach, you need 4 people. You only have 6 people in roster, right? And if we think of retention rates, it can be a slippery slope if you lose some people. So take a look at your numbers here, make sure that you know where you're at. But I just wanted to share that and be really transparent around what this means and where everyone is. With that being said, I'd love to hear from some of the best practice top performers here. I'm going to start with Tanya because she's got 0 in roster and has the best gap. Tanya, anything you can share about what you did there? Any best practices?
Sorry, I'm sick too. Nothing crazy. Just making sure I'm reaching out to each one of them. And I've been here a long time, as some of you all have too. So I have a relationship built with just about everybody in the district. So pretty much if I ask them to do it, they'll do it. And we've just been relentless about bugging them. So, and it seems to work.
Yeah, I love it. She CC'd me on a lot of emails, being like, "Hey, have you applied? Have you applied? Have you applied?" And it's working really well. So the squeaky wheel gets oiled, right? So great job, Tanya. The other biggest gap we have, Edgar and Lynn. You guys want to share anything that you did to close that?
It was basically the same thing. So when I came in on the 11th, we were pretty low. It scared me. We were low. So right away it was emails, text messages, phone calls, again and again. Do you need me to help you walk you through? Did you do it? Have you done it? Is it done? And that was our big jump.
I love it. So just that overall communication over and over again. So I'm hearing from the top 2. We'll take one more, Dorsey or Anna or either of you on and can share what you guys did.
I just constant emailing at this point. A couple of them I have personally know because they're from my previous office. So those I have been texting and calling, but yeah, just constant communication with them.
Absolutely love it. So everybody who if you're struggling here, take note that the top 3 performers is just constantly communicating, constantly reaching out, making those phone calls, making those texts, shooting the emails out. Does anybody have? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and get commitment from them, right? When will you be applying? I'm going to call you back when I see your application, or if I don't see your application, right? Gain that commitment and then follow up.
Yep, completely agree. And remember, you're setting the tone now, kind of how you're going to run your business as the PSM. So how you set urgency around this will bleed into every other goal you have. So set the tone now for sure. Edgar, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just to clarify on what what was said, Tyler. So the gap is applications needed, not people that need to be hired. So it's just about reaching out to those missing to submit the app. Yeah.
Exactly. That yellow number, if you have a yellow number there, that's how many more people need to apply, for sure. And then that roster, even if you're already, in the green by 8, for example, like Dorsey and Anna are, there's still 15 potential prior year tax pros that you could hire, which makes your first year tax pro goal lower. As we know from last year, the more prior years you hire, those goals end up adjusting and you'd have less first years that you actually end up having to hire. So make your work easier by working this list consistently, for sure. Any questions on the prior year tax pro hiring before we move along? Totally safe space. Anybody have any questions at all about it?
Not a question. This is Diane.
Yep.
I put in chat. I just text Jess because remember Carolyn is gone. Tomorrow's her last day. We have a new district manager,
Yep.
Jess Pierce. He said he cleaned up the roster status yesterday, so I'm not sure when this report was pulled. We're way behind, but the rosters should be. He marked them as company not interested and sent out another email stating that if they're going to apply, we need to do it a different way.
Yeah, so this reporting is from yesterday morning. So if you made any changes yesterday, it's not going to reflect yet. because I made this
Okay,
yesterday.
so he's complete, it's cleared up as
Yep.
of yesterday afternoon. Okay,
Then you
making
should be
sure.
good. Just
Okay.
just know that you've got 26 more of them to go, right? So I would
Yes.
be working through that list again, calling them, just being
Oh,
diligent
we
around
are.
who. Exactly.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, we are.
all the data on today's spreadsheet, and it'll be like this every call, will be 1 day behind because I make it the day before. That way you're prepped for it. So if you made huge movement the day before, you can know that that's just 1 day behind on it. The only thing that's not is our CE contest update that I sent out.
Okay.
So the contest results here for our, 1 second. The contest result for our CEs evidently didn't load into the deck, so I'll send it out right after this call. We had loaded it, and evidently it didn't save. So we will share that information as soon as this call ends, and I'll share that screenshot out. Evidently, it didn't update the deck, but the good thing is we had a ton of great movement, and you'll have that information as soon as this call's over. So we had a lot of great movement. A lot of people moved significantly in CE, which is a fantastic thing, and we will get those payouts to everybody today. But I wanted to open up the call around it a little bit. What did we learn from having that competition? I would love to hear some of your comments around what we learned about having some of those conversations and how we moved the needle. Does anyone want to volunteer and just kind of share a little bit what learnings you had?
So I know for Team Chesapeake, we didn't have great movement, but we did move the needle. And the big thing is if you're having those one-on-one conversations and giving people the options, then if you're giving them the options, then they can follow through on that. So you have to give them, this is what you need. This is how you get there. Have it done by what date?
Yep, and I've been CC'd on some of her communication out. Something she's done a great job with is really showing, hey, here are some of the different courses you can take. Here are, here's the small business CEs you can take to get ahead of it, that kind of thing. And I've seen a lot of quick movement there. So you've definitely been doing an awesome job there. I also wanted to ask, so our number one leader right now, Newport News, I don't know if DJ was able to get on the call. They're at almost 40% CEs. DJ, are you on? Can you share how you're at almost 40% already?
I'm on.
Awesome.
Just constant communication with them. I sent out an email telling them, hey, last year we missed our goals. The way forward is right now for you guys to complete your CE so we can get our manning done. And I give them incentives and rewards so they can push it open, like open offices, provide them lunch and dinner while they're at the offices. We're doing gas bars. Like one is the first office still can bring team. The first office that completes the CE courses, we're gonna treat them to lunch or dinner, their choice. So it's just staying in contact with them, letting them know they're doing a good job and keep pushing.
Well, awesome job, sir. Almost 40% on CEs already is no small feat. And once again, it's that communication we keep talking about, right? That constant communication. He's reaching out. He's offering incentives. So great job, DJ. Super impressive, man. Super proud of you. One of the other top performers is Tanya again. You guys are almost 31%. Anything you can share about what you're doing here?
Just with conversations that we've had, we found out that some people are like, well, I'm waiting for this class. It's not until September, October. And so just distinguishing the fact of the difference between wanting to take these classes and when the actual deadline is. So let's get stuff done for the deadline, and then you can still take those classes, but let's put that aside and separate the two, and just giving them a clear, concise plan and giving them simple things, especially if they're just like 1 or 2 credits away, showing them like there's podcasts you can listen to and get a CE credit, which is actually like that better than sitting there reading and somebody telling me something, So I'm just trying to give them simple ideas to get it done.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you did that. I shared that in the Teams chat with everybody too, those quick CE hours for the podcast. I thought that was a really awesome share. So thank you, Tanya. Something else I thought the district did pretty well is they communicated out, let us know if you need an exception. And those people that requested an exception, that kind of set the tone of, oh, we need to have a conversation and explain to this person the deadline and how it works. And I thought there was a lot of good luck there too. So awesome shares. And lastly here, Virginia Beach, you guys are almost at 30% as well. You guys are crushing it. Dawn or yeah, Dawn and Kim, anything you guys can share about what you're doing? Because you're doing great.
It's a lot of communication, obviously, same with everybody else, just reaching out to them. I offer myself at different times of the day and evening if they want to come in to use the computer and etc. We do have a contest that's going to end August 5th. So I use the phrase, last year the district only had so many. This year we'd like to see at least 50%. So if 50 of you guys can get across the line, we can make Kim spend a little bit of money on us. So that kind of seems to work. And also CERT labs. I have a CERT lab coming up on Saturday, and I have about 10 people that have signed up for the CERT lab. I send out sign up geniuses. So I make myself available to them just so that I can help them where they need help, suggest classes, etc. You know, it's the same thing every year. You have your procrastinators. You have ones that, you know, don't answer your calls or your emails or your text messages. It's the same with the hiring. So we'll rock it out. My goal, July 31st, is to be at least close to 50%.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, great job to you and Kim, for sure. You guys are crushing it. So once again, you have to think about each of these deadlines. It's all really the same thing, leading to a deadline with influence to get them to do things, right? And we're hearing the same things over and over from these top performers. They're communicating, they're setting the deadlines, they're being there to help support in the office or wherever else they need to be. So we just need to continue carrying that across with everyone. So great job with CEs. Let's keep pushing it. 9/1 is a hard deadline, so we really want to make sure we get that get those done in time. Let's talk ITC. So I've got a scorecard here at the end, which will show percentages, but we need to win early here and we want to pick up the pace a little bit here. It's one of the most important things we need to focus on. So on this deck, what you see is your district and how many enrollments you have as of yesterday and your target amount of enrollments. And then that third column you see is how many enrollments you have left to go. So we have a target of 1,829 for the region. We have about 1,600 left to go. So this is going to be one of the biggest plates to spin, or the biggest things that we're going after. Some amazing results out there already, and then there's some districts that we really need to step it up in. So once again, I'm just going to open it up and let's really talk about it. Southern Maryland, you guys already have 41 enrollments, which is amazing, especially with your goal being only 215. I would love to hear, can you guys share a little bit how you have 41 enrollments already? Because that's great.
Yes, Tyler, as you know, before the season ever really got started good with recruiting, we had sent out an email, which we got a lot back from that. But literally just Monday morning, as soon as the calls open up, we started making calls, just reaching out to people, like not letting them get off the phone, helping them close it right then, helping them walk through and, get enrolled in the class. So we've just been working hard every single day, just trying to get them enrolled and explain to them. Some people were hesitant. It's funny because I had my lab yesterday and some of that came up, well, I work another job. Well, we got that covered for you because we can work around your other job. So, but just talking to them and communicating and helping them get enrolled. That's what we've been doing. And I'm excited because this is working and I have about another week or two and I've got a plan of some more stuff I'm doing for recruitment. And then I take my business cards. If I go into Starbucks, I think I've recruited 3 or 4 people from Starbucks. I give them a business card and say, come down and see me. I'm 2 doors down and it's been working.
Hey, I love it. Recruiting however we can. Great call outs. I want to grab one more and then we'll move on for time. DC, Janelle, you guys almost have 30 already. Anything you can share as well?
I am just doing my best. I'm just calling everybody. I did send out a email to all the ATLs and the CSPs. And I'm just working with them as well to get them registered. And everybody I talk to, I ask them, do they have a friend that they can have take the class with them to be a part of the class, so they have a study buddy.
Absolutely love it. Last thing I'll throw in here before we move on, we're gonna lose 65% of these people. We know that. Your ability, even if you can massively miss your ITC enrollment goal, but if you retain enough of them, then you'll have plenty of first year tax pros. I don't want you to miss your ITC goal. That's not what I'm saying. I want you to definitely hit this too. But think about what you're doing with retention. Think about the weekly calls that you're doing, the support. How are you pulling in the MTLs that they're going to work for, so that we can continue to retain these people and continue to move forward.
Actually, Tyler, when you get a minute, and it can happen later, I do have a plan for that, for retaining them. I came up with a plan yesterday, so we can discuss that when we get to that.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do it at the end of the call, just because I want to make sure we hit everything and people can get off if they need to, and then we'll go with that for sure. Love it. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Edgar and Brian. I know we have a lot of first year tax pros on the call, and I want to make sure everyone understands how to get credit if someone enrolls, because there's a code you can put in, and the way it works is it's by zip code. And if you don't put in the code for your district or referral code and you don't communicate that, you may show us many less ITC enrollments than you actually have. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brian/Edgar to share their screen and walk through that, and then we'll come back and wrap up.
Awesome. So we kind of talked about this a little bit as a region, and I think even as far out as the East Market. So one of the things that we want to do is have everybody starting on the same page. And so I'm going to see if I can switch mine here real quick. All right. Can you guys see my screen? Did it switch for you?
Yes, but we can see your desktop. Yep.
Yep, awesome. So this is where we want to start everybody to get enrolled in ITC, hnrblock.com, because this one, it's really easy to get to. It's when you type it in, this is the very first thing that pops up. So if we're all starting from the same point, then when we get into issues, or if there is an issue or troubleshooting, we can all kind of walk through it in the same way. And then if we need to go down different paths to get them enrolled or get them going through, then we can definitely do that for sure. But just to save time on my internet, because it's not as great, I'm just going to go through to this. So this is what it would look like. And that's how you would get to it. Kind of, oops, this is not going great. So this is the first page. Next page is that one that just shows how to enroll. You just click that, enroll in a tax course. The next step is pick the state that they're in. So it does base the instructors where they're at. But if you're doing a remote tax pro, or you know somebody, or have had people that have worked for you that have moved out of state or somewhere else right now, or plan on leaving, whatever it is, just have them pick the state that they're in, and that's where it would go to that code to get credit for the district. But they don't necessarily have to be in the same area to start with. So then they go through to this one. So there is no in-person one. It's still an option, but they just need to click this virtual classroom or the self. Like, I can't remember who was talking about it, but those people that have the kind of the roadblocks or objections of, well, I got another job, or I'm doing this or that. These are different ways that we can kind of overcome them and help them through it. So those would be the two options. Next would be pick the class. So it's important to let them know, everything is shown in Central Time Zone. I know it's in red and yellow up front, but if you're like me, you don't necessarily read all of the stuff that you have to require check here to read, but it gives you the date, the time, and one thing that we're doing is this start date and end date. If they let you know when that is, then you can follow them through their progress a lot quicker. You can be more specific about it. If you're setting up study groups or things like that, you'll know where they're at kind of in that, and kind of group people that are going to be similarly far along. So once they go to that, this would be the next one.
Can I
They go
add
to
real
add
quick?
to the, yeah, go ahead.
So some of you may see you only have a couple of class options for your state. Just so you guys know, we reached out to Jeff Barnett. As those classes fill, they're going to load more. So you don't have to worry about running out of classes. Just have them go ahead and sign up for whatever's available, and then you'll see classes continue to become available. So check here often if you're trying to get people to sign up for classes, because this is like a living, breathing thing where they're going to add classes as it goes on.
Awesome. And the one thing I would also point out is when we're talking to them about the class, so I move back. So these ones that are on Saturday, if they're wanting to do that, make sure we're very clear about what the time restraint or time commitment is for a Saturday class, because it's only once a week versus the 2 days a week classes, stuff like that. So they know what they're getting into. Because like Tyler was saying about the retention, if they come into it and don't know everything that they're getting into and show up on a Saturday and realize, oh, this is going to be an all-day thing, that could be one of the things that just triggers them to drop out. So the next thing would be add to cart. It kind of gives you this whole shopping cart thing. Then you go to the proceed to checkout, and this is where they put in all their information. And this is where the zip code is really important. So that we need to make sure that they're putting it in and getting, so we'll be getting credit depending on that. And after everything's done, you go to next. And then this is, are you interested in working at H&R Block? Yes or no? And then kind of set up everything right here. And this is what it will show after the payment is complete. They'll get an email confirming the Block Academy registration. And this is kind of what it will look like. And then they would be all set, ready to go. And then we have another kind of walkthrough for how to set up ITC, and I can put that in the chat as well. But this is how kind of the enrollment process would go. And then I think Edgar had a couple other things he was going to touch on just to kind of circle back on a few items.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So a couple things from the registrations to note. You have your start date, you have the end date of that class. It's important for us to just keep note of that, so that we could also be following up. There's another report maybe we could talk about later once the classes actually start, where you could start to see the pace, right? And this is, I don't know who mentioned it, but you're thinking about retention, right? We know we're going to lose 65%. The win here is how big of a percentage will you lose, or how less of a percentage will you lose if we stay in touch with the students. So note that. And then number two, if it is a remote tax pro outside of your state, it won't give you credit necessarily. So I'm going to put a screenshot in the chat. Let's do this instead. Let me share my screen so you guys can see it. So this is the message the student gets, right? And they'll see this screen in the sign-up process. You'll need to make sure that student is waiting the 48 hours before selecting the course. And the reason for that is because if they don't do that and they select the course, it won't tie back to your district, right? So don't panic about this, right? It's not a big deal. It's only for those students that are outside of your state. And it's a great lever to pull, because I know a lot of you are pulling the lever of CSPs and ATLs that potentially want to become tax pros. So you may run into people that say, hey, I've moved out of the state. Sometimes we just say, hey, good luck. If you come back, let us know. We hang up the phone. But that's another source for you, right? We can hire remote tax pros. If you guys remember last year, Fulfillment Network, how we leverage being able to use the staff from different locations for the gaps that we have locally in some offices. You could do that with remote tax pros, right? Especially as you think about first peak and the complexity of the returns that we see early on. you don't want to close the door on anybody that's moved outside of your district. If they're interested in ITC, you could still get them, and you should, right? So if you've already gone through that list and you have people that have moved, go back to it. It's worth your time for sure. But this is what they'll see, right? They register and they have to wait 48 hours so that they have a profile in Block Academy. Once they have the profile set up after the 48 hours, then you move to register them for the course. Any questions on that?
I have a question. Oh, sorry, Tyler. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just want to throw out there that as far as your reporting and being able to retain people, and if you're a PSM, if you don't go in and make sure all your people fill out your district, it's hard to make sure you're capturing them all in your net of the people you're trying to recruit them from. So it's really critical that you make sure that you go back and keep records of everyone you talk to and who you're trying to move into the program, and then also that we follow up and make sure that they are able to go back and you get that credit so that they're on your reporting and you know that you can reach out to them and that we don't leave them behind like the 65% they're left behind. Sorry, Tanya, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So I just want to clarify because it seems like it's conflicting, or maybe I just misunderstood. So from yesterday, I thought I cleared my head on how this worked. But so the tracking goes by zip code, but then I thought I also understood is they put that referral code in, that's how you get credit as well. Because so for instance, in Maryland, it's huge. We have several districts side by side each other. So Southern Maryland and Central Maryland, like the zip code can go in both areas. So is it not by the referral code, or is it just by the zip code, or zip code?
From my understanding, if no referral codes put in, it goes by zip code. If you put in a referral code, it uses that referral code.
That's what I thought. Okay.
That's right.
So the communication you want to send out is to use the referral code, because if all your people use the referral code, you know it's accurate and where your people are.
Right.
And again, why it's so important to keep those spreadsheets of who you've enrolled so that you can go back and cross-reference as well to keep the interest of everyone. We have a couple people with their hands up. We are at time, but we can definitely keep going if you do need to hop off. Absolutely, do what you need to do. Tyler.
Yep, I'm going to go through 2 quick slides, let Joe talk, and then we'll move it to questions and the shares that we had. That way we just keep it on time. So really quick, here are the due dates coming up that you need to be aware of. We only have a couple days left for prior year tax pro applications. 9/1 CEs are due, so really pay attention to the pacing that I'm sending out. And then MTL and prior year tax pro hiring, we really want to be there by 9/15. So just for your information, these are the upcoming immediate due dates that we need to keep our eye on. That being said, and keep in mind that's not on here, is the ITC. We know ITC first year tax pro hiring is like the biggest rock that we have to pick up. So even though that deadline's farther out, it's still one of the biggest things you should be working on right now. Lastly, this is a scorecard I'm going to send out every single morning to the chat, the PSM chat, so you know where you are. And like I said, this just kind of shows you pace of where you are. So I shared it this morning. The first column is how many people need to apply for prior year tax pro still. If you're green, you're good to go. If you're yellow, you have a little bit of work to do. If you're red, take action now. Danger, Will Robinson. Due 9/1 is your CEs. You can see where everyone is with CEs. You should be at 30% now if you're going to be on pace to hit it. If you're below 30%, you got to take some action. You have to communicate. And Sheena and I will be reaching out to some of you to help support. If you're green and above, then you're on pace to hit that goal. And then lastly, your ITCs. Here's your ITC percentage of people enrolled to your goal as of yesterday. So you can see where you kind of stand. You should be around 10% right now to hit our target, because we're trying to hit it by 11/15. If you were below 10% right now, I would really lean in and listen to what some of the people on the call were talking about, over communicating, working some of the call lists, because you have an opportunity, and I don't want you to fall too far behind where you can't make it. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. I think Joe had some stuff he wanted to say, and then we'll open it up for questions and talk through some of the best practices. So, Mr. Caraway.
Hey, thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Sheena. Brian, Edgar, nice job. I just wanted to share just one thought. As you guys are engaging with our tax professionals, our potential MTLs, potential students, I want you to think to yourselves, is this the best I can do for my district? Is this the best I can do for my district? If you're engaging with a potential client or a potential student, can you walk them through the process? Can you help register them? Can you make one more call today to that tax professional that's lagging behind with CE? Can you call every single day, nag, rag, beg, plead to those prior year tax pros that have not applied yet? I want you guys to think about, what more can I do? Can I do a little bit more today? If we don't get this whole people piece right, it's going to really damage our chances of having a successful tax season. And I shared on our last call how very important you guys are to our future, and it's serious. I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to accelerate our results and get everybody on board with where we're going with CE, ITC enrollments, prior year tax pro applications. By the way, I'm starting to track MTL and team lead applications also. So for me, in my mind, I'm transitioning away from prior year tax pro applications. I don't want to leave anybody behind, but we have to stay in front of what's coming. And so that be my ask. I tell you guys, like I always will, and I have in the past, I absolutely appreciate all that you're doing. You probably don't understand the power of your influence, but I understand it, and I absolutely appreciate each one of you. So thank you. That's all I got. Tyler, back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Spot on. So before we move on to questions, and I know Debbie's going to share her awesome process for first year tax pros, which I'm looking forward to. I want to real quick, I put in the chat, we've gotten some responses, but not everybody. This is a form that we sent out after last call. If you could just fill it out when you get a minute, because it lets us know if you're willing to be a mentor, if you need a mentor, if you're first year PSM, and then we're also doing one-on-ones to go through some of the reporting if you have any questions. So please take that survey by end of day. We'd really appreciate it. With that, let's hand it over to Debbie to share her first year tax pro process, because she did a fantastic job with that last year, and I know she's got some good stuff going on this year already, so I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Thanks, Tyler. Well, first of all, that is my big thing, is first year tax pros. And I came up with a plan yesterday after one of my first years from last year reached out to me about something and then thanking me for staying engaged with them through the tax season. And I did keep quite a bit of my first years from last year by doing that. So my thoughts were, we do have 65% that usually drop off, right? So I was thinking, how can we stay engaged and keep these people in the tax class? So I did reach out to my district manager and let her know my plan. So first, I want to make sure they apply, because that's one of the most important things, right? We have to get them applied. We don't have their addresses, when they enroll in the class. So if I can get them apply, my thought was that I could send out maybe a couple weeks before their class. I have a spreadsheet, and then I can add their class dates. Send them out like a postcard, handwritten, welcome them to the ITC class with maybe a pin or something from H&R Block, right? So as I talk to these people, when I enroll them, I let them know, hey, you should receive an email about 2 weeks before, right? So I tell them, if you don't, please reach out to me. I'll figure out what's going on, right? So what I also do in that case is after I do that, my thoughts were, okay, so then I'm going to, on their first day of tax season, or their first day, sorry, not a tax season, of class, I'm going to reach out to them the next day by a phone call, not a text, and see how their day went. How did your class go? Were you able to get in? And then not only that, I do hold weekly meetings, kind of like an open bridge and a mentor program for them to help them as they go through the class. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. It's kind of my plan this tax season and this preseason. So we'll see how that goes. But that's what I'm doing to stay engaged with them. So this way, if a lot of them get discouraged the first day because they can't get into class, they may drop, right? So if I can just keep them engaged and let them know, hey, we're here for you. You know, we're going to get you through this, and we're going to support you during the tax season as well.
Absolutely love that. I like the idea of the pen and the postcard too. I'm going to tell you a story that I, so I had 2 realtors that I just had with my reload that I'm trying to do. One of them, I showed up, she had printed out everywhere that we were going to go visit. Here's the plan. Here's like everything we're doing, right? And I felt very confident with that person. The second one showed up 20 minutes late. I had to find the houses to find. It just didn't inspire confidence, and I ended up moving along from her to the next one I just described, right? So think of yourself as you're representing the company and you're setting the tone for their experience. So talk to your DGM about maybe getting them a block t-shirt and printing out maybe some of the stuff they should know or some of the resources. Here's a call we're going to have each week, right? How do you set the tone and kind of give them some consistency instead of like, oh yeah, welcome to block. I'm also hiring 700 other people right now. Good luck, you know? So we really kind of set that tone. So don't be the bad.
Did he freeze?
So I believe he
He's
did
frozen.
freeze. Yes, he did. Oh, wait,
Oh,
he's
there
back.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Tyler.
All right, I was just saying I wanted to go to Dawn Kashishian and Doc so we could respect her time because she was on the call. Is there anything from the Doc side that we should know or any updates from that side?
Not really. I just jumped on to just in case there was anything you needed or questions I could answer. The one thing that none of my districts have done, and I don't know if you've reached out to your docs, but you know, we aren't really in the lane of ITC and CE, but when you're working on getting your priors to apply, if you haven't been successful, sometimes just the message that we can give or maybe a prior connection we have with those folks might help to get them to apply and over that hurdle. So use your docs. I mean, we are supposed to be assisting with that if you would like us to. So reach out, send a list, you know, however you want to do that.
Great point. Yeah, if you're a PSM, really most of your job should be influencing. Your doc should be doing pretty much everything in Workday, but you should be communicating with them so they can make that happen. They can also help a lot with Gateway. You know, hopefully no docs shoot me after I say that, but that's really kind of how you want to run it. You have a lot to do as a PSM. Also, if you think about it, right, with the call list that you guys have, all the influencing you guys have to do, think about using some of those extra PSM roles that you have. Who can help support you? Who can help you get it done? Because there's a lot to do and a lot of people to enroll. So partner with your DGM around what support you need so they can be there for you. Dana, sorry, I wasn't trying to hold you up. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to make mention, you know, what Debbie had mentioned about those are good practices, being engaged and staying in touch. Christy last year did such a great job of staying in touch with everyone. She sent out welcome emails and then having that open bridge. That's so important to keep that connection. Sometimes, though, I do think it's important because everything is being done so much in the virtual space that we do need to have a personal connection, just maybe a quick phone call. In our district, it's a little bit more of a challenge because of just the sheer nature of the size and how many ITC candidates we have to get. But, you know, Christy is just all over it and does such a good job of making sure we keep those connections so they stay engaged. And that personal touch is really key. So I did like the idea about the postcard. The one thing I had experienced yesterday, just being prepared, and I just finished the PSM lab and the dialogue was great. You get to get tips from everybody about their spend, how they phrase certain things. But yesterday in talking with a tax pro, has his app in, but has not started his Cs. Those are the ones that I specifically am working on. So just a tip, he's like, well, you know, I know I've got to do it, but you know, I haven't started it yet. And I was like, I know. So I wanted to call to help you with your plan. And he's like, well, and I told him, I said, well, keep in mind, you know, our deadline is the end of the month. And he says, well, I don't know if I can get it done. I said, well, tell me what you need. I said, now let's work out your plan together. So you just kind of have to lead them along. So I said, do you think you could set aside 2 3-hour sessions each week? And he said, yeah, I think I can do that. I said, now I'm going to offer you the office. So if you need quiet space, or if you need to be able to go in and use, the computer to get it done, that is not a problem at all. So he goes, okay. I said, so if you would set aside 2 days, 3 hours per day, I don't care what day it is, to complete 2 3-hour sessions, could you do that? He goes, yeah, I could probably do that. I said, well, you'll have it done in 3 weeks, way before the deadline. And he goes, oh. I said, can you do that for me? I said, and then, if you need classes, or if you're looking for something, he says, well, some of the classes I wanted to take are a little bit later. I said, yeah, I understand that. I looked at the course schedule. I said, however, what I'd really like to see is you go ahead, make that commitment, and get your hours in. So that way, when it comes up with skill, if you want to cert up, if, you want to do small business again, all that's done, so you won't have that pressure on you. You'll have more time to spend with your family during the holidays. Skills will be coming up, and you won't have those things to worry about. I said, did you want to work preseason for the extension deadline coming up in September? Well, yeah, I could work. Yeah. I said, well, that's great. Let's go ahead and get your CEs out the way. So that way you'll be able to spend that time devoting your time to serving clients.
I love it. I want to get my CEs done early now. Dana's over here using Jedi mind tricks. Great
But
shares.
it's just a matter of helping them with the plan, helping them to see how this is doable. So I said, if you just took the tax theory overviews, that's going to give you 9 hours. He says, well, I do the annual refresher, and that gives me 6. I said, you're a third of the way there now. You've already knocked out your 1 week. So just breaking it down and helping them with the plan. Give them a starter, and then let them finish it out, and then let them see the benefits of why doing it now is better. So I said, I'm going to follow up with you to see how you're coming. And if there's anything I need to help you with, if you need me to help you look for classes, I, offered the podcast. Those are pretty good. Things like that. So that's just a way to help the plan be not our plan, but their plan, and they'll buy into it, see the benefit in it for them, and go ahead and get it done.
Absolutely love it, especially that follow-up piece too. Great takeaways. So any other questions? Anybody need help with anything? Anything we can do for anyone?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm trying to get clarification on the workbook. So I understand they're not mailing them out this time, so they print them out themselves. I also saw they have access to the forms on irs.gov. So basically it's just in their hands that they have to get the forms.
From my understanding, yes, but I saw that we could order them as books from FedEx starting, I think it was 8/15. That might be the game plan.
But that's an extra fee. That's an extra fee.
Let
Yeah.
me take that back. Let me
Okay.
take that back, and I'll find out for you. I've got a meeting later today with Ryan Weber, and I'll ask that question.
I appreciate it. I've been telling everybody I'll get back to them because I know they weren't mailing out, but it just was kind of muddy as to what was happening.
Yep, I will find out for you today. So I've got my call with him this evening, but he's going to be the guy with the best answer there. So bear with me. It'll probably be like 4 o'clock or so when I get the correct answer, because I already asked a couple people and I got kind of varying answers and nothing really solid. So I'll get it for you, but it'll be later this evening. Any other questions from anybody?
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a lot of military installations in my district, and I'm just wondering if there's anybody else who has any military bases or anything where they have been successful with the recruiting process, and can you either give me some suggestions? Can we have a one-on-one or whatever we have, because I need help?
from knowing the numbers, my suggestion is to reach out to Dawn Thomas, who has like the highest military percentage in the region. She's got a lot of military people for sure there. I saw Christy also raised her hand.
Hi, yes, I was just going to say, we partner with ACS on Post, and we had done last year, we haven't got anything scheduled on the books yet this year, but last year we did a couple different virtual interviews or presentations where they would come online, register at ACS on Post, and they would come online. We'd give like a 5-minute spiel, I guess, and that was one way. They also let us put flyers, business cards, posters, that kind of thing. We
They
also
post to the website, their website.
Yeah, post to the website. We also have a women in business group that's local that also does a MILSPO or military spouse recruitment fair every year. So we get a table there. We had a ton of people sign up last year for ITC. I'm a military spouse of 18 years, so it's a little bit easier. We can kind of talk about that, and I've transferred through 3 different times with H&R Block, so that is a huge concern for a lot of people. So I kind of focus on that. Those are a couple of the things that that we try to do.
Great shares. Anything
Thank you.
else? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for joining. Thank you so much for your time. I know we went a little over. I'll start making them an hour. If we finish early, we'll leave early. That way we're not like, oh, we're 20 minutes over again because we all have so much good content to talk about. So I'll make that adjustment for everybody. If you could take the survey I put in chat, make sure you're hyper focused on this deadline. That's the end of this month. If you're not close to that deadline, I'd make that your #1 focus. Other than that, I know Joe really wants us to move hard and fast on ITC, so let's continue to do that. Make sure you have somebody making calls for your call list if you're not. I'll send out the scorecard, and I will send out the winners of the CE contest that didn't send or attach to the PowerPoint, so everybody has it. With that, thank you guys. Have a great week. Let's go kick some tax. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.